Thank you for joining us for No Laugh Track Podcast. We are here, episode 413. My name's Justin Severson, the host, and we're here at Acme, and I'm talking to Josh Sneed for the first time since, I'm going to tell you, Josh Sneed. Hi, by the way.
Hey, man. Good to see you.
Yes, it's been, I haven't said how long it is, but I'm going to read a couple things here to you. So the last time I saw you.
Your flashlight's on your phone. I should just tell you that so that later on you don't wonder what happened to your battery. Or maybe I just need that. I need the extra lighting. That's probably what it is.
That's Acme's fourth spotlight here. The last time I saw you, Josh Sneed, this day in history, 8 female badminton doubles players were disqualified from the 2012 Summer Olympics for attempting to manipulate the draw by throwing matches.
All right.
Yeah, the typhoon killed 82 people and displaced 150,000 people in the Philippines, Taiwan, and China. But most importantly, August 1st, 2012 was the day you and I recorded episode 10 of this podcast.
Oh, my gosh.
This is episode 413.
That's insane.
10.
It's insane. I don't know what to take away from that. It sounds like a lot of terrible things happened on that day, and maybe that's why it's been 9 years since you've had me back. I'm like... Whenever we've had Josh Sneed on, just terrible things happen around the world in badminton and
keep an eye out for typhoons. Is what I'm saying.
Well, it's good to be back.
Well, no kidding.
A lot has happened since then. So 2012, man, that's wild. So my first kid was just turned 1 a couple weeks before that.
Yeah,
and then now here I am. With he'll be 10 in July. My daughter will be 5 in June, and
back then you were like, I'm only having 1 kid.
That's right. I was like, I'm gonna stay this weight forever, and we lied about so many things that day. But it's good to be here.
I gotta say, I was thinking back, like, where was I in August 2012? Well, for one thing, still married to my first wife.
Okay.
And like I've been married now, 5 or 6 years now to my second.
Congratulations.
Have another kid now. Like, I have 2 teenagers now.
What's that like?
I should start another podcast to talk about that.
Really?
It's probably enough.
Was it? So like my son, like I said, he'll be 10, and I can't picture him as a teenager, and I don't like the horror stories I've heard. I don't want to know that he's gonna like do like a heel turn between now and then, right? Is that what happened? Or
so you're saying right now he's
sweet.
Yeah.
He likes being around me.
You complimented me on this hat that says the dark side before we started.
Yep.
Don't be surprised if he's wearing this hat as part of the team in a couple of years.
He would wear it today. We're big Star Wars people. I don't know if you know that
I
about
do know
our
that.
family.
Oh,
so
yeah.
My dad worked for Kenner Toys when I was growing up. So Star Wars is kind of in our DNA.
Yes.
So like immediately I was like, I gotta have that hat.
Yeah, we talked about that in episode 10.
Oh my God.
We did talk about that because as a huge Star Wars nerd as well, that's like every time I see your name, it's honestly the first thing I think of is.
That's great.
It's
not comedy. It's that guy loves Star Wars.
I watched the what was it? The did you watch the Netflix thing? The toys.
Yeah, I got interviewed for that. I didn't.
What?
I sort of got interviewed for it. So, so the guy who produced that series, Brian,
what was it called?
The Toys That Made Us.
The Toys That Made Us. Yes.
Yeah, and the first episode was Star Wars. Yeah. And so Brian Volkweiss, who produced that whole series, he's done amazing stuff. He does a ton of comedy specials.
He produces comedy specials.
Yeah. So he does the Toys That Made Us, the movies that made us. He's with Comedy Dynamics. They actually produced my second comedy album, and so when that got announced, Jack Vaughn, who now is at SiriusXM running their comedy division and was at Comedy Dynamics, said, Brian, you have to talk to Josh Sneed about this. So one of his producers called me. We were on the phone for like 2 hours, and I'm telling him all my Star Wars stories and all my Kenner Toys stories. And he's like, oh, man, you're going to be perfect for this. He's like, I'll let you know when we're filming here in L.A., and I was like, I'm actually in Cincinnati. And he's like, shut up. And I was like, yeah, why? And he goes, we just wrapped in Cincinnati last week. He was like, you're a comedian. I just assumed you lived in Los Angeles.
Oh, no.
And so I just missed getting to be on the show. But a couple buddies of mine are on it, and I mean, it's amazing. Like, it's absolutely surreal. There's actually a book that came out 2 years ago called Engineering an Empire, and it's all about Kenner employees. And I got interviewed for that book about my dad. So there's like a whole chapter about my dad in that book, and I gave him a bunch of photos and stuff that they used for the book.
So cool. So remind me, what was your dad's position?
He was a model maker. So basically, they would give him a blueprint, and he would build a working model of the toy that they could then make changes to. Like, they'd mark it up with a Sharpie, and then they'd modify it. And then those prototypes, well, now they're called prototypes. At the time, they were called garbage. That was what my dad would bring home for me to play with, because they were like things that I could just beat up in the backyard.
Amazing.
And now they're worth like more than anything, because
Yeah.
they're called first shots. And I have a lot of stories like that about money that would have been, that ended up just getting destroyed somehow. My favorite one, I don't know if I told this on episode 10. I don't know how many listeners want to go back and research it. But the best one was, and we're going to go super nerdy here, which I'm sure you're cool with.
Go for it.
But Return of the Jedi was initially supposed to be called Revenge of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
And it was changed because they felt that revenge wasn't a quality that a Jedi would possess, right? So when you buy a figure, it's like the figure and underneath the little plastic bubble on a piece of cardboard with a photo on it. Well, there were sheets of those cardboard of those cardboard cutouts that just said Revenge of the Jedi that became garbage when they had to change the name of the film.
Right.
So my dad and most of his coworkers, they're big car guys, worked on cars, restored old cars, that sort of thing. Well, he didn't want to get oil on the garage floor at our house, and so you put down pieces of cardboard when you're changing the oil in your car. So he brought all those home and put those down to use to keep the oil off the floor in our garage. Those uncut sheets go for about $25,000 a piece right now, and I bet we had 8 or 9 of them that we went through over time. But
I'm having a hard time breathing right now.
yeah. But so I'm still on the road doing stand up checking out these clubs once every 9 years because we sold off the.
The good news is, I'm sure, like the article I was reading earlier today about people that invested in Dogecoin at the beginning of the year, you put $1,000 in. Today, you have $100,000.
Yeah.
Do you have $100,000?
I don't have $100,000. I did spend $200 on. Is it Dogecoin? I'm really wanting someone to tell me if I'm saying it right.
Oh, can we say, how about Dogecoin? I
Is
don't
it-
know.
Which one is it? I don't know. Because every time I think it's Dogecoin, then I see that little dog. I'm like, is it Doggycoin?
Right.
But
I'm just going with what I've heard.
I don't
own
know.
any.
I don't know what I'm doing, but I bought $200 worth of Dogecoin when it was at 8 cents.
Whoa!
Yeah. So it's as of today.
What's the math on that?
Right now, it's worth $1,600.
Nice.
And, hopefully it keeps going. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what to do with it if I keep it other than sell it at some point. I don't understand any of it. My friend was trying to explain it to me. He's like, well, it's blockchain, and that's why video card prices are so high is because people are just mining. I'm like, I'm out. Just tell me when to buy and when to sell.
What I just saw today, somebody there was a Major League Baseball team selling suite tickets you could use crypto to buy tickets now.
Really? So on my T-shirt websites, actually, right before I came over here, we started looking at how to accept cryptocurrency as payment for our T-shirts.
No kidding.
Yeah. So that's what I'm going to do when I get back to the hotel is figure out how to accept Dogecoin as a method of payment on our websites.
So we got to talk about your comedy. I watched the show last night. I still want to talk about that. I want to talk about what you just mentioned, the Cincinnati Shirts, the company as well. But I want one more thing about Star Wars.
Yeah.
The other night, Tuesday night, or Tuesday was that whole May the 4th,
yep.
right? And we went and did some trivia at a place, and there was one question about May the 4th. So I'm going to hit you up with it here.
Oh,
right?
God. All right.
Do you know the first person to say "May the Force be with you" in Star Wars?
Was it Princess Leia?
No, and if you would have been on my trivia team, that's the answer I said, and we both would have got it wrong.
Was it the admiral, the general guy that was talking to all the pilots as he was sending them off to the Death Star run?
Yes. It's Admiral
Dodonna.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Good job.
I'm such a nerd, you guys.
Look at that. Who was second then?
May the Force be with you.
Tick, tick.
The second, was it in the same movie?
Yeah.
Oh man,
Nothing but Star Wars.
if that's towards the end, so
yes,
I don't know.
Star Wars.
Was it Luke?
No, Han Solo.
Where did he say it?
When they're all about to shove off on the.
When they think he's leaving.
Yes. Uh-huh.
So they say it twice that quickly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know like Obi-Wan is the Force will be with you. There's a lot of variations.
Yes.
But I know Princess Leia says it at some point, I think maybe in Empire, when she's talking to when they're about to get attacked on Hoth.
Yep.
I think she says it before everybody hops in their snow speeders.
So do you then my final
This is like the greatest day of my life. I wish I could just stay here and talk like this all day.
This is my final thing.
Okay.
Do you embrace this whole May the 4th be with you thing? Because it wasn't around when we were kids.
I do.
You do.
I do. It's I'll tell you why. Is because when we weren't getting new Star Wars, it was like a way to like celebrate Star Wars.
Sure.
It's like a little bit of it now has kind of been diminished, even though it's like a day you circle on the calendar, because you're getting new Star Wars stuff, whether it's like toys or this year is programming. So the Bad Batch on Disney Plus, which is very cool. I know it's a cartoon, but it's very well done. The same guy who does Mandalorian started all those animated series, and they're really cool.
I watched the new Simpsons Star Wars mashup.
Oh, I haven't seen it
Tuesday.
yet. I saw it. It's got Maggie on it, right?
It's really good.
Yeah,
I
want to check it out.
It's only 3 minutes long. It's really good.
All of those, like the Robot Chicken and the Family Guy, like all the Star Wars parodies, like I'm here for all of it.
Yeah. Highly recommend the Simpsons thing.
I just can't get enough of it. Like that's the thing, people complain about like the new movies or the prequels or whatever, and I'm just like, to me, it's like pizza or sex. It's like I'll take bad Star Wars over no Star Wars.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
But the new stuff is, I don't know. I just feel like it's in really good hands now with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and like I'm like really dug into the autograph community, which is, it sounds extra nerdy.
It
but
is. Now you're even piqued my interest more.
So I'm one of the moderators for this. It's called the Star Wars Autograph Universe. It's a group of like 10,000 people on Facebook, but we do private signings with. We just wrapped one up with Diego Luna from Rogue One. We've done them with Harrison Ford. We have Natalie Portman coming this summer. Chris Hemsworth. He's not Star Wars, but we're knocking him out with Natalie Portman. Pedro Pascal, all the Mandalorian cast. And it's really fun because, I used to collect the toys, obviously, as a kid, and that stuff just takes up so much room. But with the autographs, it's an investment, but it's also much easier to display them on the walls and keep books of them and, and the interactions that we've had meeting these people. And it becomes like fun little projects for me to have like a poster where I want to get like the whole cast sign on it. So I get this person here and this person there. And then eventually you've got this like beautiful thing to frame for your house that nobody else has. So it's really fun.
Is there somewhere I can go online and see pictures of your, I don't know what you call it, your wherever you display everything?
So if you're on Facebook or Instagram, just look up. We call it SWAU for short because we've shortened it. It's SWAU, Star Wars Autograph Universe. But SWAU.com, you can go there and see a lot of people's collections and all the stuff that we sell, the people who we have upcoming signings with. So if you can buy stuff from us, like amazing photos to get signed, or you can send your own items in. So people send in like lightsabers and blasters and helmets and, like some of the stuff that people have would just absolutely blow your mind. And our Facebook page specifically showcases like collections of people all over the world. And it's like, It's incredible. Like, even if you're not a Star Wars fan, you will appreciate the effort and time that people put into some of these items that they have signed by, some of them hundreds of people.
Wow. I'm the level of Star Wars nerd where I I follow some hashtags on Instagram, and one of them is Star Wars Collection, Star Wars Collector.
Yeah,
just so I can see people's stuff.
So and I'll end my Star Wars talk with this, unless you want to keep going. I could be here all day. We could go ahead and film the episode. You could air in 9 years. The two of they're in the Toys That Made Us. There's a couple brothers that they live in Cincinnati. They're good friends of mine, and they have maybe the most amazing Star Wars collection that you've ever seen.
Okay.
And ironically, but also on purpose, it's in their parents' basement. They don't live there anymore, but they turned their parents' basement into their mini museum.
Awesome.
And they have just wild things like prototypes and toys that came out in other countries and stuff you've never even heard of before.
So what's the favorite I'm not going to say ask about your most valuable, because I want to know what's your favorite in your collection.
Well, I don't have many toys. I sold my toys.
How about signatures?
Signatures, I actually just got it back. It's probably the one that's worth the most, but for me, it just holds the most memories.
See?
So there's a shot from Rolling Stone. They did it for all three of the first movies. They did one for A New Hope, and it's the main four: Han, Luke, Leia, and Chewie, in like this pose. And I have that image in a big 16x20 signed by all four. And then I have the Empire Strikes Back, which is my favorite movie, and they're all in their Hoth gear, signed by all four. And then I have the Return of the Jedi, and it's actually an indoor, so it's Han, Luke, Leia, Chewie, R2-D2, and C-3PO, and it's signed by all of them, all in gold, in this like 16x20, and it's like pristine. And of course now with like Leia and Chewie and R2 passing, it just the value is skyrocketed. But for me personally, and I think probably why a lot of people love Star Wars so much that are our age, and why it's not like we're giant nerds, but it's because those movies are tied to moments in our life that when you see it, it like instantly takes you back to being a child. 100%. And so I have so many memories that are like tied to those images. So I think that's why those are my favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that so much. Oh, man, I love that so much. All right.
And we'll be right back.
And
Star Wars
this
talk.
break is brought to you by R2-D2. Let's briefly talk about you have the logo of your company, Cincy Shirts. When you were here for episode 10, that was in existence. We did talk about it a little bit. It's way bigger now, obviously.
It's insane.
You have a real like brick and mortar store now, correct?
We have two of them.
Two of them.
We had three. One was not great. It was just not a great location for us, so we used COVID as an excuse to shut it down. But we have two brick and mortar stores. So the last time I was here, 2012, we didn't have our first store yet. We were just a website that had just gotten started. So now we have two stores. We have a warehouse that we print and ship out of, all of our own. We used to outsource that the last time I was here. And it was just me and my business partner back then. And now we have 24 employees. Wow. And then we also have because Cincy Shirts did so well, and no people watching that aren't from Cincinnati, it's like brands and businesses and nightclubs and restaurants that everyone that's from Cincinnati remembered growing up, but they're like long gone, which just translates to the trademark expired and we're able to print it without having to pay a royalty to anybody.
Yeah.
But when we saw how popular that was with Cincinnati, we're like, well, this could work in a lot of cities where people like live their whole life, So we started a website called oldschoolshirts.com, which is the same thing, but like you could go to like Minneapolis or Louisville or St. Louis. So we do the research on what were the old brands and businesses from those cities, and we look up like defunct sports leagues,
Oh, I love that stuff.
like ABA and, in arena football, like that kind of stuff.
I was this close to buying a T-shirt for the Minnesota Blue Ox a few weeks ago. That was a roller hockey team.
I'll have to look and see if we have that. I don't know that we have that one, but we have some really cool Minnesota, Minneapolis stuff.
Yeah.
So I want to show
stuff.
it to you and see how much of it you remember.
Yeah.
But Old School Shirts has done very well, and then we've gotten a couple like really just cool licenses. Like we have like a Evel Knievel license. So we have these like really cool retro Evel Knievel designs. And then that led to us getting licensing from Major League Baseball Players Association, where we could do current MLB players, because we have a bunch of like old retired players.
Yeah.
So now we can do all the current ones. Same for MLS soccer and NCAA. So then we launched last year, which is a great year to launch a website for sports in a year where they don't play sports. It's called intheclutch.com.
Okay.
So it's a lot. It's got our old school stuff, but old school sports stuff, but it focuses mostly on current professional athletes and professional wrestlers. So so it's really fun to see like what started as like a local love for vintage T-shirts grow to like now we're doing that for other cities, and we're doing it like see like MLB players wearing our shirts when they do interviews on MLB Network, and it's like crazy to wrap my head around it. But
so cool.
We do the shirts for some cast members on The Mandalorian. So like they got a hold of some of the shirts that we did for our autograph club when we were doing signings, and they said, could you do one of those for us? And so like Pedro Pascal, he's the voice of The Mandalorian, and people know him from like Narcos and Game of Thrones and stuff. But most of the time in the suit is two people. There's a guy named Lateef Crowder, who is a martial arts guy. He's been in a ton of movies you've seen. So he does a lot of the like fighting scenes, hand-to-hand combat. And then the rest of the time is a guy named Brendan Wayne, who is John Wayne's grandson. And he has the walk down, and he has the like gun, like gunslinger like skills.
Way.
So when we do these autograph signings, we have those guys in it too. So like if you have a picture of the Mandalorian, it's signed by the voice, Pedro Pascal, and then the two guys that are in the suit. Well, Brendan Wayne was like, I'd really love to give the cast and crew a gift. Could you come up with a T-shirt for me? So we did this really cool design of the Mandalorian body, but he's got a cowboy hat on, like John Wayne, and it's just silhouette in front of a sun. It's so cool. But like we sent him 200 of those shirts, and he passed it out to the cast and crew. So now we're like doing shirts for the makeup department that has their Boba Fett Mandalorian logo on it. And it's just like I can't even wrap my head around that like the guy who's wearing the Mandalorian suit is like messaging me on Instagram on where to send the shirts that I printed. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff is not, it's not lost on me. Like I'm not still a little kid. Like that happens, and I think it's as cool as anything.
Good.
It's not
It
like,
is.
oh, it's just, everyday thing. Like I'm still like, I hang up the phone. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Hell yeah.
I can't, like, I don't know. I always want that stuff to feel cool to me.
Hell yeah. Oh, that is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow. Are you going to do something they're already working on another season of that, aren't they?
They're wrapping season 3 next week. So, I just got off the phone to make sure that his shirts were getting shipped out today, and we did another.
Are you like sending him to Tunisia, wherever the hell they film that?
No, we send him to his house. Most of the Mandalorian stuff is filmed so on Disney Plus. God, I feel like I'm such a nerd. On Disney Plus, there's a really cool behind-the-scenes
I watched some of those. Yeah, you're right.
series about the Mandalorian, and they talk about this amazing soundstage they've created where it's almost 360 degrees of like, 8K video.
Oh, I saw this. Yeah.
So they can film.
They can make it look like anything.
Yeah, and they can film it quicker because they don't have to go to a bunch of different locations or worry about weather or anything like that. It's that series is incredible. I cannot recommend it enough to people because each episode is about one episode's about the actors, one's about the directors, one's about the music, and one's all about the special effects, and the stuff that they're doing is absolutely insane. The last week of comedy I did before the shutdown, I was in San Francisco at the Punchline, and my friends from LA came up who are in this autograph group, and they arranged for us to take a tour of the original ILM studios right outside San Francisco. And so like we got a tour from one of the guys who worked on the original trilogy, like showing us like, yeah, this is where we filmed the Death Star run, and we were blowing stuff up in the parking lot. And it's just like that stuff will always be cool to me. And none of it, I don't know. I talk to friends of mine who have like really famous friends, and they're just like, yeah, just hanging out, no big deal. And I'm like, that would never not be cool to me.
I like that. Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. I'd be the exact same way. We need to talk about your comedy, since that is why you were here, why you are here in Minneapolis at Acme.
Okay.
Did a show last night. Got shows throughout the weekend. I watched via YouTube last night.
Oh, really?
The YouTube stream. Yeah. Very slick.
It feels good, man. It's like, I'm not gonna lie, like the break of the last year was really good for me. Just I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I have like the t-shirt company, and then also since the last time I've been here, I started doing social media for some brands. So Airheads candy, I don't know if you're familiar with Airheads.
Yeah.
And Mentos.
Yeah.
I do their social media, and
What?
no one knows it's me. But they're based out of Cincinnati, and eight years ago they said, we're tired of our social media just looking like a magazine ad. We want it to be like interactive and playful. And we thought, how cool would it be if a comedian ran our social media?
Sure. Well, I mean, it makes complete sense.
It does, especially for those brands, because they're playful brands, And so they were like, the girl was like, I'm familiar with your t-shirt company, and I like how you guys do your social media, and my husband's a fan of your stand-up, and so you're local. You're the first person we called. Do you want to give it a shot? And this was for Airheads, and I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. And so I started doing it, and I had success with it, and I'm very proud of the way that it looks. If you go to the Twitter account for Airheads or Mentos, you'll see it's back and forth with people. It's not just like always just trying to sell product.
Yeah.
I try to be funny. And
has there been any controversy?
There hasn't really been controversy. There's been some really cool things that have come from it, like Alvin Kamara. I don't know if you're familiar with him or not. He's the running back for the Saints.
Yeah.
Big Airheads fan. Like, was his favorite candy as a kid. Somehow I found out about that when he got drafted by the Saints from Tennessee, and I offered to send him a care package. I was like, hey, congrats on getting selected in the 3rd round. If you'd like some Airheads, we'd be happy to send them to you. We know you like them. And this was in May when the draft happened. Never heard a word. And then about 3 or 4 weeks into the season, somehow he must have seen the tweet. He's like, I don't know how I missed this, but I would love some Airheads. And Mark Ingram, who played for the Saints at the time and was a much more popular player because he was the Heisman Trophy winner, and he was like, yeah, send me some Airheads bites too. So I told the brand, I was like, let's hook these guys up. Like, normally I would, in a private message, I would ask for their home address and I'd send them a nice little box of product. And I was like, we should hook these guys up. So instead we sent a pallet of candy to the Saints
Oh my goodness.
Facility and said, these are for Alvin to give out to the rest of the team as he sees fit. And so he started tweeting pictures of, he set them up around him in a chair to make it look like he was sitting on a throne of Airheads. And he's, a couple weeks later, the Saints beat writer is like, best thing I saw today was Alvin Kamara passing out airheads to his linemen after he scored a touchdown, thanking them for blocking for him. And so it slowly started to build, and he kind of became, Marshawn Lynch was synonymous with Skittles.
Yeah.
And so he kind of became our Marshawn Lynch. And so fast forward, he ends up winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's now a paid endorser of Airheads. He has his own Airheads flavor.
What?
And like all of this started because of a tweet that I sent him randomly the night he got drafted by the Saints. And so it's just so funny to see now like what that one tweet has turned into. But I'm very proud of it because it's like, it shows the brand that there's like value in what I do. Right?
Absolutely. What's Halloween like at your house?
Well,
do people get like handfuls or what?
They used to, because, and this is going way too deep into this, but Facebook changed. There was a time where if you had a Facebook page, you could post something and everyone who liked your page would see it. And then eventually Facebook was like, we aren't making money doing this, so we'll show it to this much of the people who like it. And if you want to pay, then we'll show it to everybody else. Yeah. Well, when that changed, Airheads quit wanting to post so often on Facebook. But for a while, I was posting something like every day or every other day. So because I had to always take pictures of it, they sent a case of every flavor of every product to my house, Airheads and Mentos. That's why I gained so much weight since the last time I was here. It's probably 40 pounds of it were Airheads and Mentos because it was like this far away from me every day at my house. But for a while, yes, my house was it looked like a candy store because I had product everywhere. And finally I was like, I got to put this stuff in the basement because I will eat all of it.
It's like when they have those days where people turn in their old drugs.
Yeah. Well, I have always had a sweet tooth, which is probably why I excel at this position. But I think a real turning point for me was when I was featuring for Billy Gardell in Houston one week. We went to the grocery store at the beginning of the week to have some stuff where we were staying. And he looked at me when I was checking out and he said, "You shop like a high 6-year-old." And and when the guy who plays a fat guy on the show about a fat guy tells you that your eating habits are that bad, it's a real look in the mirror moment for you. And so I've tried to curb it a little bit. But I mean, last night's a perfect example. I come to this club, this like one of the top clubs in the country with this amazing restaurant. They put down a menu that includes like salmon and steak. And I was like, I'll take the grilled cheese and French fries.
No.
Because I'm a giant child. And it was delicious. And I couldn't have been happier about it. It was like, if you had just given me something to color, my whole night would have been complete. You know what I mean? And like, I'm so simple. Like, just give me my video games, my Star Wars, and something sweet or fried. And I'm a happy guy.
You said you were playing video games before you came here. I played some video games this week for the first time in a little while too. I got into the Minnesota Wild are having such a good year. I buy the EA Sports NHL game.
Yeah.
I have them going back to the 90s, I have nearly every year from PS2, PS3, PS4. I don't have a PS5 yet. I hadn't bought this year's game. I just finally did Sunday.
Yeah.
I've been playing. Of course, well worth it.
It's
already down
right?
to $25 to buy, but well worth it. Love it.
Yeah, when you think about it, like the amount of money it costs to buy a game and how many hours you get out of it versus like the cost of a movie or a nice meal somewhere, like it's such a great value. And I was, it was actually right before COVID, but COVID certainly helped. I found myself up at night playing video games like every night that I was home. Because my routine was I never wanted it to interfere with like hanging out with the wife and kids.
Yeah.
So I just kind of made a deal that like I'm a night owl anyway. So once everyone's asleep, then I go to my man cave and I play video games. And I have the same group of friends that I play with. A couple are comedians, but most aren't. But they're funny and very good friends of mine that are in Texas and Nashville and whatnot. And so our conversations are so funny because it's a release for all of us. So we're all talking about the same things, whether it's work or marriage or
Yeah.
kids or whatever. And so I kind of got to thinking, like, I bet people would like to be a fly on the wall for these conversations. So I started streaming. And I started out on Twitch, but then I went to Facebook, and then it was just sort of randomly once in a while, when I would be home and I had my little setup in the basement, I'd fire up the stream, and it sort of became like a live podcast where it's like people could just listen to us talking and hopefully enjoy the conversation. They could watch the video game that we're playing, or they could ask a question. And a lot of times I would see like comedy fans come in and ask questions about stand-up or comedians I've worked with or whatever the case was.
Yeah.
But as a whole package, it was fun, and I was enjoying doing it because I was already down there playing video games anyway, so it wasn't anything to just fire up the stream. Well, with COVID and being home all the time, I really ramped it up. So now I am on there all the time.
Oh,
so I'm on
really?
Facebook almost every night, streaming, playing video games,
No shit.
answering questions about comedy, telling stories.
How do people find just on your Facebook page?
It's Ohio Joker. I created a new page because I didn't want to do it from comedy, mostly because I've gained a lot of fans from my dry bar, which is squeaky clean, and I'm pretty clean on my social media anyway. My friends that I play video games with, they do not have the filter. So I thought,
They don't have dry bar specials?
That's right. So I felt like if it was gonna ever become a thing, it was worth just creating a separate page for
Sure.
the video game stuff, so that I didn't turn off any fans of just the comedy.
There you go.
So it's Ohio Joker
Okay.
is my gaming handle, but on Facebook, if anybody wants to look for Ohio Joker Gaming, that's where I stream from most nights, and come in and hang out and just ask questions about comedy. You don't have to like video games to just come hang out, and I usually do it for a couple hours most nights of the week that I'm not on Clubhouse.
Nice. I'm gonna check that out. I made the deal, like when I brought the game home earlier this week. My wife's like, well, you're not going to play that until we go to bed, or
Yeah.
me and your daughter. I'm like, well, of course, yeah, no, I'm like just what you said. I'm totally fine with that. I was like, but there's going to be like 45 minutes of updates before can I just put that in now and then just walk away, hang out, and then later? That's fine.
My son loves it because he's 9. He's got his PlayStation in their playroom, and so he knows that I get it. Right? He doesn't have to ever convince me to like let the PlayStation turn on because there's probably going to be a Fortnite update, But it's fun. And now that he's playing video games and I don't have to let him win anymore.
Right.
Like, it's a fun age for me as like a dad to, here, let me show you how to really play Rocket League.
Yeah,
you know?
right.
And he's like, what? I can't believe you know how to do all this stuff. Or I take the controller from him in Fortnite. He's like, Dad, you got to build. I'm like, I'm not building. I'm out on the building.
Right.
I'll shoot somebody across the map for you, but I'm not building.
I've stared at that, scratching my head too. Like, I don't get it.
I told him, he was like, Dad, why can't you just learn how to do it? I was like, Dean, I could go to Lowe's and buy materials and come back here and actually build a wall quicker than figuring out how to do it in this stupid video game. Like, I'm just going to shoot people, and then if I die, I die.
With these awful graphics.
And then he's just like, and there's like a castle around him. And I'm just like, all right, well, that'll just be your thing, I guess.
I just dug a hole through the other side of the game.
That's right. Yeah.
Is that fun? Yes. Okay.
He's got the VR. Have you done the VR stuff?
Tiny bit.
I say he's got it. I bought him the VR, and it's
So you can play with
it.
it. Yeah.
He doesn't have a source of income to go out and get a PSVR, but it's incredible. Like, I can't wait for that stuff to really go to next generation.
Someday, don't you think we'll have it on our phones? It'll just be like a little adapter, and we'll just be like this.
Yeah, you'll never leave the house.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm in.
I mean, it's wild to think about, but it's pretty insane. There's a place in they have a couple locations. I did it in Orlando. It's called The Void. I don't know if you guys have one in Minneapolis or not, but it's like highest level VR, and they have a Star Wars one. And it's like you put this thing on, and it's like it goes over your chest and everything, and it is like you are there. like you look down and your hands look like a stormtrooper, and then you like it'll say like grab a gun, and it'll be like you reach out and there'll be a gun there, and then you're holding it, and you look down and it looks like a blaster, and then you fire and it has like this vibration, and you walk out the door and there's lava and there's like this heat wave that hits you. It's crazy.
Why did you leave?
I didn't want to. They made me. I was just like, can I just like live here? And they're, but it'd be pretty expensive rent, I think, to just keep coming back in a loop. But you play that and you're just like, it can't be that far off before you could have this at your house.
Yeah.
And then the stuff you could do with it.
Uh-huh. Sky's the limit. Let's do this again quicker than 9 years, all right?
Yeah, I can't wait to come back on episode 786. I'm really looking forward to it.
That's right.
I'm happy to be that was in the top 10. I just cracked the top 10 of the original 10 episodes. So, dude, I'll come back anytime you'll have me. Absolutely. And I appreciate you having me today.
Yep, let's do it. And then there are still some tickets left here for the weekend, so snap them up while you can.
Come on out. And I look a lot better when I'm standing. This is not a flattering. I probably look like Jabba the Hutt from that camera back there. Just the profile shot is not flattering on me.
But standing up, Princess Leia in a bikini.
That's right. I know exactly the lines of sight. We do charge a little more for these seats on the side, but it's worth it.
Thank you.